everybody. Welcome to another episode of This Week in Real Estate, hosted by yours truly. My name is Ray, and this is the This Week in Real Estate podcast, hosted by the Bearded Man of Real Estate. Thanks everyone for joining us. We're broadcasting on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and of course, we're also broadcasting live in Clubhouse. So if this is your first time catching the show, welcome. This is our 354th show. So it's going to seem a little bit off the top like we know what we're doing, but there's always something that comes up. And I hate to pull some of you away from the viewing. I know you're late at viewing it, but it's a world-renowned court case has been going on this last week. I know it's drawn a lot of attention of all the YouTubers. Afro Man's court case is amazing. I totally agree. If you don't know what happens, you got to go watch it. It's hysterical and crazy. But, freedom of speech, right? So if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go look it up. It's legendary, and it's all over my YouTube feed, everywhere I see it. But hopefully I'm all over your YouTube feed today. We're going to be talking about Zillow and Compass. They seem to have settled their fight. Maybe everybody's finally playing nice in the sandbox. That's where I'm just going to display it off the jump, because I was really proud of this thumbnail. AI is making thumbnails easier and easier to to play with. That is Gary Keller. That's the CEO of Keller Williams, Zillow, and Compass, all playing nice in the sandbox together. So, and I'm there too. I'm there on the left with a full beard. One of my favorites is that Gary Keller's toddler has a mustache, has the Gary Keller mustache. It's fantastic. Got some early comments on it. Hillary says, "Oh my gosh, best thumbnail ever." Elizabeth says, "Ray, I see you're playing nice in the sandbox." I'm trying. I am trying. The audio sounds a little bit weird for me today. So I don't know if it's the same for you guys or if it sounds good for you guys, but it sounds like I'm far away. I don't know what, I don't know, but we got a lot to talk about. So I'm going to dive right in. Hello, everyone. If you want to add your voice to the podcast, you can find us on Clubhouse in the Real Estate Networking House is what it's called now. We're the only thing currently broadcasting there. Yes, ma'am. Mine has the beer. So thanks for, I guess that means there was also a bit of a delay. That was pretty delayed. It's okay. If you are joining the show to hate on the show, you could do that in the comments. So if you comment, I could display your comment just like we did there. And of course, the best way to hate on the show is live. So if you're watching the recording, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so that you can jump in the comments live and add your voice to the podcast on Clubhouse. Oh yeah, I forgot I had this. I created a bit.ly link for it so you guys can find it. It's bit.ly/REN Clubhouse. That's all lowercase, REN Clubhouse. So if you're trying to figure out how to find the Clubhouse, there it is. Okay, let's jump right into to the news. This one is for Zillow. This is more of an opinion piece on Inman, but it was interesting. So we're going to go through it pretty quick. It does have a pretty good summary of what happened before we get into some other Zillow news. So this says Zillow called it the open market and then buried consumers and the MLS. So, I mean, you already know where this person is coming from from their opinion for sure. So, but let's take a look. First, everyone was going to do something similar. Second, the smart players would attach themselves to Zillow, not Redfin. Third, the winning framing would be devastatingly simple. Why would you hide your listings on the number 3 portal when you could broadcast more widely on the number 1 portal? What are they talking about? Oh, the Compass Rocket Redfin partnership that was announced. You remember that partnership that was announced where Compass said, "Hey guys, we're going to put our pre-listing properties, our coming soon properties, we're going to add all those properties to Rocket Redfin website exclusively." And then Gary Keller said, "Well, we're going to do it on Zillow with Remax, Home Services of America, United Real Estate inside. So we're going to do the same thing on Zillow." And then EXP was like, "Well, we're going to do it on a couple of different platforms." And I always thought the winner was the one who just plays back and is like, we're just going to add ours on all of them. But I love the return to coming soon. I feel like everyone out there that's like, oh, real estate agents are just trying to keep both sides of the deal are finally silenced because you've been saying that for years. You haven't made any changes to the clear cooperation, which allowed real estate agents to keep properties in-house and market them within their own brokerage. So I feel like you don't have a leg to stand on if that's the remaining leg where you are. But this guy, whoever wrote this, said, so I'm 3 for 3 on predictions in the industry is 0 for 3 on transparency. Who wrote this? Amit Kulkarni. I love it when people are like, I'm 3 for 3 in the industry, 0 for 3. But while this announcement was predictable, the implications are far messier than any of those companies would admit. And I think it's time to stop letting Zillow, Compass, KW, and Rocket dress this up in the language of consumer advocacy, because that ship has sailed. Open market for me, not for thee. Let's stop pretending that we don't understand what's happening. Open market is not a principle here. It's the positioning strategy. For Compass, admit, syndicate to Redfin, strip out the days on market, price history, and home valuation estimates. 2 things Robert Reffkin and Compass CEO called the killers of value, and calls it seller empowerment. For Zillow, it means feed us listings before they go to the MLS, get priority placement on the brokerage branding, and listing agents may receive a share of Zillow's revenue associated with that transaction. The difference between Zillow Preview and what Compass is doing with Redfin is not philosophical, it's not structural, it's not about consumer access or market transparency. It's the logo on the portal, which the company gets paid. Zillow needed a business answer to Compass Redfin, and this is it. And this echoes a lot of what I thought last week when we first announced it, saying that this really has nothing, very, very little to do with consumers. Zillow's position was unambiguous on the Zillow ban. You remember when it banned Compass's listings because they were going to the private listing networks? It says Zillow believes everyone deserves equal access to the same real estate information at the same time. The company said at that time, they called Compass's pre-MLS marketing strategy hiding listings away in its private vault, harming consumers and small businesses. Zillow went to court to try to stop it. Zillow's now using the same strategy, just dressing it up in a different way. It's not seller empowerment. It's a toll road. Priority placement and real-time listing insights is what Zillow's offering. The buyer who isn't plugged into the right brokerage network or the right portal partnership or the right pre-market ecosystem finds out about the listing when the window's already closing. If buyers are the collateral damage in all this, there's one institution that's not even collateral anymore. It's just being bypassed entirely. And this is really what I wanted to get to in this article. It's the MLS. The MLS had one job left, and now that's gone too. It says for a long time, the MLS served everyone. That was the point. Sellers got maximum exposure for their listings, flowing to every portal, every IDX feed, and every syndication partner in the moment that it went in. Buyers got to see all of it because the MLS was a central hub for distribution. The MLS wasn't just a database, it was an on-ramp for the entire ecosystem, and it protected everybody in the process until now. Dun, dun, dun. The listings from 9 of the top 15 franchise brands in the country, the number 1 and number 2 brokerages by sales volume, and the number 1 franchise by agent transaction sides and total volume are now operating in a workflow where listings go to the portals before they go to the MLS. What? Zillow's own Chief Industry Development Officer, Errol Samuelson, said it's plainly, preview listings exist prior to going into the MLS feed through a broker data feed or direct agent entry. Now, this seems like it's an antithesis to their own rule that says properties cannot be publicly marketed somewhere prior to going into the MLS, or Zillow would refuse to put them on their website. apparently, if you put it on Zillow's website, they're okay with it. This is sketchy, but it is a huge problem for the MLS. This is a gigantic issue for the MLS. Think about I'm just going to go back up to, it's one of my favorite parts. Listings from 9 of the top 15 franchise brands in the country. And the number 1 and number 2 brokerages by sales volume. And the number 1 franchise by agents, transaction sites, and total volume are now all operating in a workflow where listings go to portals before they go to the MLS. That is a huge amount of inventory completely bypassing your MLS. This also means that agents should be setting up searches on all of those websites for your clients, right? I mean, if you're trying to find a house for your buyer and you're not looking on these websites that they're going to first, then are you really doing your fiduciary duty and your due diligence? And I would love to hear what some of your buyer agreements say. Our buyer agreements say that we're primarily going to look in the MLS, and that's where we're obligated to look, but we're not necessarily obligated to look anywhere else. But I feel like that's not going to be, I feel like that's erroneous now. If you're not looking outside of the MLS, then why pay you? Because they could just look on Zillow themselves. Oh, right. Negotiation. Come on. But this is a big problem for the MLS. And I would say this is a big problem for boards that are hanging on to the MLS as their primary value proposition. And I would say this is a big problem for real estate agents that are primarily relying on the MLS for their job.
My guess is it's another opportunity for the attorneys, though.
Well, opportunity for attorneys, opportunity for agents that are actually going to work hard, right? Opportunity for brokerages that can set up systems that feed to those third-party websites smoothly from their back-end systems, and then also can feed into the MLS. If you're at a brokerage right now and they're not developing something on the back end so that they can pre-market properties automatically, then you need to rethink where you are. So, and I don't know if the brokerage I'm at is doing that or not, but this is going to be the way forward. The way forward is going to be, you're going to put it into your brokerage system. That brokerage system is going to act like a private listing network until your MLS allows that property to be fed publicly, following the local MLS rules. When it's fed publicly, it's going to go to all these third-party websites. Is it coming soon? And then it'll be automatically switched on to the MLS, or somebody there will have to put it into the MLS. And if MLS is not operating where they can get a feed from the brokerage as well, then they're behind. So there's a ton of issues with this, primarily on the MLS side.
But does the fact that the information it's like crazy that the information is being disseminated in so many different places, does this end up coming full circle where it ends up back to where it should be, that all listings are everywhere again?
No. I think the decentralization of all of this is going to be such a differentiator for profit centers that it's going to be like this forever. I think the attempt to put everything everywhere all in one place, I think that was temporary.
Yeah.
And yeah, like 15 years. Yeah, but still temporary.
Still going to back up 2 steps and not understand why Robert Reffkin was holding everything so closely, and then he decided to crack the book open and share it with. Okay, now we're just going to share it with one person.
What do you mean, the private listing networks?
Yeah, the private listing network just went to Redfin.
Well, so it's 2 different things. So there is still a private listing network at Compass, supposedly. The listings that are being shared with Redfin may or may not be included in the private listing network, but those are properties now that are coming soon or that are pre-market listings, or how do you say, pre-MLS listings? That's what those are now.
Post private exclusive, pre multiple listing.
Correct. Post private exclusive, pre-MLS. Pre-MLS is probably the easiest, cleanest way to define it.
God.
Pre-MLS.
Why? That's all I have to say. That's all I'm going to revert to. That's my new phrase. Why?
I mean, it's to serve the consumer.
It makes it so. Oh yeah. Which consumer?
In reality, I do think that is the best answer. I don't think real estate is simple. You have people that want to sell different ways, and if you have a product offering mix that has these different ways to serve people, you're going to win. So I think that's what it is. It's a product mix. I think most people are just going to want to traditionally market their home and get it public. But today I have a showing on a house that's not even live yet. Tomorrow it's going to have another showing. I've got another buyer that's interested in seeing it with me. And then it's going to go live either Thursday evening or Friday morning. But I'll get feedback on our price from these two, and maybe even an offer. So it's a private listing network. Other agents are able to show it because word got out. So I'm fine with that. The seller's fine with that. They love it. We have to move a piano out of the house still. But, the sellers are the ones that they get to decide how they want to do it. And they didn't want it to go public when it wasn't fully ready. So to me, it makes sense to have a bunch of different ways. What I don't like is a mix up on coming soon listings, or coming soon listings for Compass or at this portal, and coming soon listings for Keller or at this portal, and for EXP, they're at this portal. That gets a little confusing, but you could just simply have a set of tabs, which is what I have now when I'm doing the show. I click one button and it opens up all of the sources that I look at every single week for the show. And you could simply just have all those portals saved in a tab. And then when you're searching for a buyer, you click the tab, you go to each portal, you do the search, you look through it, and you're done. I mean, it's not going to really take that much longer, but the more portals there are, the more tabs you're going to have open. And that does get rather annoying. So, all right, let's keep reading. Let's go to, let's see. For years, critics, including myself, accused MLSs of failing to steward broker data, of not innovating, of not solving actual business problems. MLSs always shrug that off because whatever their shortcomings, they controlled the input. They were the mandatory on-ramp. You can complain about the MLS all you want, but you still had to use it first. The shrug is what got them here. Brokerages stopped waiting. They didn't start a boycott or a lawsuit or even a manifesto. They just did what the MLSs have been unable to do for 20 years. They signed deals with Zillow and Redfin and started feeding listings upstream of the MLS. So it's not better, more transparent marketplace, not a system that serves buyers and sellers more fairly, just a series of bilateral deals between the industry's largest players, each one optimizing for their own economics, each one moving the consumer a little further from the center of the transaction. This is where I kind of depart from him. I am a big believer in like Milton Friedman style capitalism. And when a company goes against a consumer, the company will not last. Even if corruption exists, it might save face for a little while, but the company cannot last. It eventually goes by the wayside because the consumer is the ultimate answer. The consumer is the market. And so if Compass was doing things that actually did not serve the consumer, it would be found out and their business model would fail. So I am for the variety of business models, because I think the one that wins in the marketplace it answers a huge question about what the consumers actually want. And if Compass is better at marketing their business model than Keller Williams, then they should get more people to participate. The question is, will that business model actually outperform? And then, Keller can say, hey, all of these people that went to that business model, we also listed homes in those neighborhoods. And this is how our listings perform versus their listings. That would be some interesting data. And they could pull that data and they could essentially show, why did this house sell for less? And I know this is possible because there was an agency here locally they were taking properties and they would always try to sell them within their own group. And I was at a listing presentation in a neighborhood of which they were very popular to do that in. And the seller said, well, we interviewed this other agent and they said they may be able to sell it off market within their own group because they do that in this neighborhood a lot. I said, they do. I said, their buyers get great deals. And the seller was like, what? It's like, oh yeah, they're selling under market value. They said, what do you mean? So I ran the numbers on the 4 or 5 sales that they had done that with versus the 2 or 3 sales that I had in that same neighborhood where I beat them. And I said, you are more than welcome to sell it off market within their network if you want to take a 20% discount. And they're like, what? No, we're not going to do that. So, but that is looking at the model of how someone is operating and what they're doing to sell these properties. We have a status in our MLS called sold before listed. That's how you can tell. But there's a model out there that's doing this. So compare your model versus their model. Now, I think there is an appropriate way to sell a property off market, but you don't lower the price off market. You get a higher price off market. And if it doesn't sell for that, then you talk about, well, maybe, where are we priced? How are we framed? What was the feedback? Should we lower the price as we go on the market? So there's ways to do it. The MLS failed to innovate. What was filling the void? Is it innovation? It's consolidation. And those are 2 very different things. So he says that the seller choice and broad exposure language is marketing copy, which that's what we were just talking about. It's just marketing and business model. He said, most importantly, let's not forget the consumer didn't ask for any of this. Regular people just want to buy a house. That's true. Regular people do just want to buy a house, but also regular people want to maximize the value of the house as they sell it. And if you're only looking at one side of the transaction, you could say, yeah, the house should be listed everywhere that a buyer is so the buyer could choose to buy it. But if you're looking at it from the seller's perspective, some people want to maximize the value. Some people don't. Some people want a private sell. Some people want to sell it without showing it to a bunch of people. Some people just want to get it off their plate in the first couple of days, no matter what it sells for. So because there is a broad selection of seller desires, there should be a broad selection of products and business models. It just makes sense. But for the buyer, they just want to buy a house. Okay. I'm going to go right to this because it's on the same topic, but I'll get to Scap. He said, wait, Gary Keller said those things kill value. I thought it was us appraisers. LOL. Yeah, true. We just had an appraisal miss again yesterday. Scout. The appraiser got the wrong contract price. Come on, man. Elizabeth says, I smell some lawsuits coming. Y'all. Did you know your YouTube name is Elizabeth Nightingale-Z8M? I'm glad you're here live, Elizabeth. Okay, let's go to this next article. Byron Lazine did an interview on the Zillow COO. I had ChatGPT. I have a pretty harsh analyst, similar to the one that I use to analyze the corporate report. But this one analyzes articles and interviews, and it tells me the positioning of the interviewer and how they framed the interviewee. And he said, basically, I'm gonna rephrase this. It says, framing Zillow as the center of the industry. right out of the gate, number one traffic source. You can't afford to misunderstand this company. It says that establishes Zillow as unavoidable authority. It lowers the resistance from the audience before pushback can happen. This is a classic quote. We're not one player. We're the platform positioning for Zillow, which makes it feel like a promotion. Letting Zillow define the narrative, and it goes unchallenged. So several times Zillow said things like, we're consumer first. 90% of what's good for consumers is good for agents. Private networks harm sellers. And there was no real counterweight. Like, well, where do we see that in the data? What about the agents losing control of leads? What about Zillow monetizing both sides? There was no, there was no challenge. And maybe that was the agreement. Hey, I'm going to interview you, but I'll just ask nice questions. Maybe that was the agreement. There's also a product segment where they go through the Zillow preview and the Zillow Pro. There's a Zillow Pro pitch. There's a Zillow preview breakdown. Tougher interview would ask who loses when this wins, or what happens to agents who don't buy in, right? A soft handling of controversial topics. Lead routing, my listing, my lead stuff. The host set it up, but then immediately pivots to consumer experience, reinforces Zillow's framing. Zillow's response is focuses in the wrong place. We start with the consumer, and what's missing is commission pressure implications, lead resale economics, agency dependency risks. So anyway, it's a bit of a softball interview, Byron. I love Byron, but that's a softball interview, bro. But again, like I said, maybe that was the agreement, but I wanted to start with that so that I could come back to the article, and then we could talk about the article, knowing that. And I think Zillow is also a flex agent. So maybe that kind of explains why some of it was quite softball. So Zillow addressing the questions everyone's been asking. The chief operating officer for the company, his name is Jun Chu, CHOO, which that's kind of neat. If you just take off the H, it's COO. So it's COO Jun Chu, CHOO. He walked through how preview actually works. And that is, let's see if I can find it. There's no, oh yeah, that's right. They didn't show anything. They just talked about it. So this is what he said. Zillow Preview is a pre-marketing product. So if you want to think of it as Zillow's version of coming soon, that's a fairly accurate way to think about it. And what we realize is that while we strongly believe that every seller should get the broadest exposure for their home, that the best outcome to market your home broadly and to make sure you create the most demand. Zillow's position on exposure hasn't changed. More visibility creates more demand, and preview sits at the front end of that process. So listings appear on Zillow before they hit the MLS, according to local MLS rules. Some markets don't allow a window at all. Others allow a short period, and some markets allow up to 14 days. The listing uses a limited set of details, about 15 fields and one photo. It's designed to create early interest while a home is still in the pre-market phase. He put it this way. The COO said, the idea is that you want to pre-market the home before it's active and is a valid tactic. And what we wanted to do was to make sure Zillow Preview is a version of coming soon that we would want on Zillow that is consumer friendly and helps the seller and also preserves the buyer experience. Why Zillow is making preview listings exclusive. Zillow didn't avoid the question. Zillow's focused on controlling how the listing experience during the pre-marketing window, which means any pre-market listings that go live to Zillow are exclusive to Zillow. So in other words, if you want to use Zillow listing preview, you cannot put it on anywhere else. EXP is taking a different path. Its approach centers on pushing listings out to as many platforms as possible with the goal of being able to reach as many consumers as possible. That assumption of more visibility creates more opportunity. The reason for this is on Choose Words. The reason for exclusivity is that we're trying to create a product that works everywhere and control the experience for the consumer So things like making sure there's a schedule a tour button, clicking the link up to real-time touring, and linked up with our preferred network partners to make sure the consumers are followed up with. That's thin. That's real thin. In order to make the experience work, it's something that has to be built on Zillow and controlled by us. That's so thin. So you're telling me that if I have a property and I want to put it on as many networks as possible to get the broadest exposure possible for my seller, and I put it on Zillow, I can't put it anywhere else? And the reason Zillow says this is because they want to control the experience and make sure the consumer can get a scheduled showing. That's thin. And it goes into some other details about, what they consider a coming soon listing and what's not. He also still objects to the private listing network and made that clear in the interview as well. So there you go. Zillow says they have an exclusive preview. I feel like that's going to go to, y'all remember the lawsuits that happened between Microsoft and Apple, where they were the web browser lawsuits. And basically when you bought a computer, there was already a web browser on it. And I can't remember the exact, but it's the one that set up a lot of the anti-competitive, what was the, feel free to chime in if you know what I'm talking about here. But basically, there was already a web browser on the computer. Somebody could still go and download, but they were getting in trouble for not allowing another web browser or not having another web browser or making it the automatic default web browser. I can't remember. But a huge lawsuit because they were only offering one option. And I think this is going to be a huge lawsuit. If you are a Keller Williams agent and you're forced to use Zillow Preview and there's not another preview network that you can use and it's exclusive, then I think you're setting yourself up to be sued because the buyer's going to say you only allowed one option. EXP is smart, using as many options as they can. And I think Keller would have to bring in Zillow as a third party to the suit and say, hey, it's not us that limits it, it's them that limits it. Same thing's going to happen with Redfin. If Redfin is exclusive, if that's an exclusive deal where Compass can't then go and put that on some other platform, homes.com or whatnot, I feel like that's going to be a bad deal. So if you only offer one to the detriment of others, and Zillow, you could say this is an anti-competitive practice where Zillow says if you offer it on our website, you can't put it on anyone else's website. That sounds anti-competitive. So I don't know. I'm not an attorney. None of this is legal advice. Sounds like a monopoly to me. That's what Rick Beal says. What's up, Rick? I think a monopoly, you would say that there is no other option. In this, there are other options, but they don't allow it. That's it. But sometimes you go to your favorite stadium and you're super disappointed because they have Pepsi. Like, what the heck? Why do you have Pepsi? Everyone knows that's a second tier drink or even third tier. I mean, most people would say, no, I don't want Pepsi. Give me a Dr. Pepper instead. Most sane people. And if you're at this stadium and they're only offering you Pepsi, you're going to be disappointed, but that's legal. A stadium can make a deal with the drink manufacturer and can exclude all other drink makers from that stadium. So you could argue that this is just like that. They made a deal with Zillow. They excluded all other platforms with coming soon opportunities. And that's that. Even though the consumer is going to be ticked off that they're drinking Pepsi. Right? Drop it in the comments if you ate Pepsi too.
some of us prefer the taste of a new generation.
The taste of what?
A new generation.
Is that Pepsi? Is that their thing?
You don't remember the taste of a new generation when Michael Jackson got his hair caught on fire?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You're a boomer drinking Coke over there.
Coke is way better. Coke is so much better. Oh, I got a couple of comments over on Instagram. Sorry, guys. Bom dia, what's up? Infinite Solutions by AB. He said, is this coming to change in MLS? Is this the coming to a change in the MLS? Yes. I see what you're saying. Yes. I think this is where MLSs are going to have to pivot to survive. He said, I don't dare to say the end of the MLS. Well, kind of. It may be a little bit of the end of the MLS. He says this is 100% the next big lawsuit with the way things are going. Yeah. And he agrees with me. Dr. Pepper over Pepsi. Yeah. I think most people would agree. We're only talking about what's important on this show. So there you go. Man, I can't find my "you're right" button. I was going to do the ba-ting. I can't even locate it. I need to redo. I'm going to try to find some time. Oh, confession. I was going to do a lot, actually. February was a little slow, so I worked really hard in February. And in March, we had about 30% of the total sales volume that we closed last year pending. So it's been a little hectic. But I was going to try to reset my soundboard and add some stuff this year. I was going to try to add some more graphics for us on the show this year. It's just, if y'all want to help, you're welcome to. What's up, Julie Moon? Julie Moon says, stadiums and Dr. Pepper makes me remember that you can't get a Dr. Pepper in the stadium where Dr. Pepper was the sponsor. What? That's crazy. I feel like this is the discussion. Some people compared it to different networks where you have to go, you have to get on this streaming platform and this streaming platform in order to get the shows you want to watch. But I think more accurately, the way this stuff is being closed out now, speaking specifically for the coming soon, it's drinks and stadiums. Julie Moon says they sponsor college football, but you can't get a Dr. Pepper at the game. That is crazy. So really, they're sponsoring for everybody watching at home. You act like there's a lot of people out there that watch Georgia football at home. I don't think, are people still into Georgia football? I don't know if it's still a thing. I know basketball is not a thing. Georgia baseball, I don't think that's a thing. It's going to be a while for y'all, huh? Yeah. We'll see how it goes for us. Oh, I know who you are, Antonio. I just say your Instagram name. That way people can find you. Infinite Solutions by AB. Yes, Antonio. What's up, man? He said the bearded guy on the other side of the pond, Mr. Portugal. If you're looking for Portugal property, you're looking for Antonio. He's also, I met him on Clubhouse. You're not in Clubhouse today. This is, and you also sent me a DM asking when I'm broadcasting the show. This is it. You're here. It's from around 1 to 2-ish Eastern time, but it's usually like 2:30. Julie Food says, bless your baseball school heart. Well, I mean, yeah, but we're also in the Sweet 16. So maybe baseball and maybe also basketball and maybe also track. I think Arkansas has more national titles than any other school, period, because of track mainly. But yeah. As she says, I think with all the portals, it's mostly confusing for sellers to understand where their property is getting listed. Yeah, I think all of us are going to have to add a page to our listing presentation that just explains it. I used to say every listing presentation that no matter which agent you use, once you stick it into the MLS, it's syndicated to over 79 different websites, then go to thousands of other portals. And I would show how it kind of disseminates through IDX feeds and all that kind of stuff. But now there's a coming soon strategy. So now you can say, well, depending on what agent you use in the coming soon strategy, it will first disseminate to these different portals and then go from those portals to these portals. But you also have to be able to show that coming soon is actually benefiting the consumer. So you're going to have to get some data showing how the coming soon is going to benefit them, because you could also show that it's not benefiting. So that's the argument of the business model that I love. That's not something that should be litigated, in my opinion. That's something that we should argue about through the market. And the winner of that is the market. All right, let's go to the next. Let's go to the next article. This is interesting. So Zillow announces the preview. They also very quietly announced some changes in how they're going to deal with Compass's pre-market listings. And I think they're going to have to announce those. I think they kind of had to change this policy, because if they didn't change this policy, it was very hypocritical. Compass dismissed a lawsuit against Zillow after a policy update. And it's Zillow's policy update, not Compass's policy update. So Compass CEO Robert Reffkin announced today that the brokerage is dismissing its lawsuit against Zillow after the portal revised its listing policy. The launch of the Zillow preview expanded visibility to pre-market listings and an update to listing access standards. Together, these changes signal a shift. This is what Compass put on Robert Reffkin's page. It said, for the audio listeners, it was black, and it says, Compass to dismiss lawsuit following Zillow ban reversal. Our goal has always been to give homeowners more choice to decide when and where and how to market their homes. We're pleased to see that other brokerages are now recognizing the strong consumer demand for more options on how they sell their homes. Homeowners deserve more choices, not fewer choices. He says in the main text basically the same thing. And then the lawsuit has been ongoing since June of 2025. In February, a judge denied Compass's request for a preliminary injunction that would have paused Zillow's listing access standards. With Zillow now reversing its approach, Reffkin confirmed that Compass no longer sees a continued legal action. Because of the reversal, we're dismissing the lawsuit. So this is where is everyone playing nice in the sandbox now? This is where that came from. Reffkin is not done. Reffkin writes an op-ed on MLS mandates cannot supersede fiduciary duty. So with the Compass lawsuit settled, it looks exactly like what we thought and what we previewed with the other articles when we talked about this is a much bigger deal for the MLSs. Reffkin says that fiduciary duty requires agents to follow all lawful instructions of the client. This is not optional. This is the law. That is 100% true. When an MLS threatens to take away an agent's MLS access if they follow their client's lawful seller-directed marketing plan, the MLS is forcing the agent to choose between breaking the law or losing their job. This is strong words. The problem is that the MLS membership isn't voluntary in most cases, in most areas, because they function with a near 100% market control. Membership is not a choice. Agents cannot simply work without the MLS access. Now, previously, I think a lot of people looked at NAR with this same thing, but now the NAR and their boards have decoupled from a lot of the MLSs. It still seems mandatory to have to join the MLS, and MLSs that have all these antiquated rules are going to get sued. And I think they're going to get sued by two people, one, the brokerage, and two, the consumer. So just get ready, because down the road, that's where we're going to hear the dun dun. Let me see if I can find it. Dun dun. There it is. Oh, yeah. The Law and Order. That's what's going to happen is with the MLS. Consumer versus MLS. Compass versus MLS. The only entity that could supersede an agent's fiduciary duty is the government. However, MLSs are private organizations imposing its mandates on licensed professionals who, under the law, owe a fiduciary duty to one person and one person only, the seller, sitting across the kitchen table. By law, listing agents must put their clients' interests ahead of what's best for NAR, MLSs, agents, buyers, and themselves. The new coming soon option on Redfin, Zillow, Homes.com, and Realtor.com will inevitably lead to a single client question that will end the practice of MLSs pushing listing agents for publicity and marketing outside of the MLSs. Punishing agents for marketing outside the MLSs. The client will ask, why can I only market my home as a coming soon listing prioritized at the top of Redfin or Zillow for one day? 100%. 100%. You know what other question they're going to ask Mr. Reffkin? Why can I only market my home as coming soon listing prioritized at the top of Zillow exclusively and no other websites? That's where the Zillow lawsuit's going to come in. The real estate professional will be breaking their fiduciary duty in state law if they respond to the client's question with, I'm sorry, I can't give you prioritized Redfin Zillow coming soon option for more than one day because the MLS will fine me up to $5,000 and will block my MLS access. By imposing a fine of up to $5,000 on listing agents who follow their clients' lawful instructions, the MLS is coercing agents to breach their fiduciary duty and fining those who refuse to break the law. Isn't this interesting? Moreover, since the MLS fine creates a personal financial risk for the agent, the MLS is manufacturing a conflict of interest. State law mandates that a real estate professional disclose the homeowner's conflict of interest resulting from the threat of an MLS. Did you catch that? State law mandates that a real estate professional disclose to the homeowner the conflict of interest resulting in the threat of an MLS fine. That's interesting. So this is a really good op-ed. And I think this was sent out there and saying like, hey guys, if y'all don't make changes, we're going to sue you. On behalf of consumers, we're going to sue you because you are getting in the way of our fiduciary duty to our clients. And a small MLS, it's going to take them out. A small MLS, Compass is going to own that MLS at the end of the lawsuit. They're trying to impose a one-size-fits-all marketing mandate on a professional that requires nuance, customization, and professional judgment tailored to each home, each market, each client. So where's this going to go, though? Let's fast forward. I agree completely with Reffkin's take here. It is a fiduciary duty for us to market in a way that our clients want us to market. And if they want us to market, on homes.com, then I should be able to do that as a real estate professional. The question is, where does this go? Let's say Reffkin gets his way and all the MLSs still operate as an MLS, but drop the requirement of coming soon and all that jazz. What happens? Does Compass never put their homes in the MLS? It's not okay. It's not doing the thumb. It's just the automatic. I need to turn off reactions. That's the automatic reactions on FaceTime camera. My bad. But what happens? Is there a group that's big enough to say, well, all of our listings are going to go on our own website and we're never going to put them into the MLS and our website's public so everybody can see it? Jennifer, what's up, Jennifer? Jennifer Mayberry Realty said, this is the kind of banter we need. I need to know. That is a weird future. If there is a brokerage that just denies the MLS, then are they taking into account their client's fiduciary duty? That starts to get real hairy. And while I agree with Compass's position on this, I don't necessarily agree with not using the MLS at all. I don't agree with not letting other brokers and agents in the marketplace know about properties that are for sale. So even if you have a private listing network, if that's what the client wants to do, the private listing network should be open to other brokerages. If it's not open to other brokerages, then you have a clear cooperation as it is today. It's totally fine to do a private listing network within your own brokerage and not open it to anybody at all. That is totally fine and okay from clear cooperation. You're welcome. So he goes into some of the ways the MLSs are evolving, suspending days on market and price history, market phases, eliminating restrictions on the number of days a homeowner can market a coming soon listing, submitting a coming soon listing to the MLS for cooperation should not automatically trigger a mandate to broadcast that data via all MLS facilitated feeds. As confirmed by the latest NAR guidance, coming soon is a marketing strategy used by the seller and broker to limit advertisement online or publicly pursuant to the seller's interest. By utilizing yes/no options from data feeds, MLS respect the homeowner's right to phased exposure strategy. That is interesting to be like, yeah, we don't want it on Zillow, but we want it everywhere else. Somebody could do that. And so if Zillow has a product or process that flies in the face of the agent's best interest or the consumer's best interest, you can limit it and say, nah, I don't want it to go to Zillow. That could get them to change, right? If agents don't have a choice and their listings are going there anyway, then Zillow could do whatever they want to an agent. But if an agent's like, nah, I don't want it to go to Zillow because of what you guys are doing with it, I don't think it's best for the client, then that's gonna put them all on their best behavior. Well, NAR's not going to be silent. They have released a statement on the pre-marketing listing coming soon listings. The statement follows a week of policy changes posturing by major residential real estate companies. Here's the statement. With the 3 major real estate listing portals making announcements this week on how they'll treat private or coming soon listings, National Association of Realtors released the following statement. The American housing market is the most consumer-friendly, transparent, and efficient across the world, in large part because of the MLS system. The MLSs provide an efficient and reliable marketplace, which allows sellers to market their properties in accordance with their interest and potentially receive a best offer. Likewise, they provide buyers with the ability to learn about as many properties on the market that meet their criteria. NAR will continue to be a pro-consumer association that champions MLS policies that advance fair housing and ensure equal opportunity to housing and facilitate transactions that benefit homebuyers and sellers. All agents who participate in MLSs agree to follow their MLS policies regarding listing standards due to the unique needs and characteristics of local housing marketplaces. NAR MLS policies will provide each MLS with the flexibility to establish local rules that work best for their brokers, agents, and consumers, including policies regarding pre-marketing efforts. What? Antonio, Infinite Solutions by AB, says, are we no longer in the real estate business and now in the data business? Asking for a friend. Yeah. I think actually we've been in the data business for several years. Realtor.com CEO. So I thought this was interesting. NAR included their response, and they also included NAR. Realtor.com CEO Damon Eales released a blog post. So they have their response in Realtor.com. Our new agreement with EXP marks an important step forward to support the MLSs and our aligned mission to ensure fair marketplace-driven MLS transparency. Sellers want clicks, not clicks. That's cute. It's the same word clicks, but used as like a group of people. Click, small group, click. Sellers want clicks, not clicks, and EXP is delivering it for them. We recognize a seller's desire. I mean, I'm sure this is part of the deal with EXP is you gotta, let's do glowing press releases about each other. So All right. So interesting way to include that with all the other information as well. There's an interesting rule out there. Judge blocked a new real estate anti-money laundering rule. So a Texas district judge has blocked the Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, from enforcing its new real estate anti-money laundering rule. The legal foundation, based in Sacramento, on behalf of Texas Title. So Flowers, the title company, said FinCEN rule, which requires closing and settlement statements to report legal entity and trust purchases made without financing or through a non-regulated lender, impose an undue, costly compliance obligation and severe penalties for reporting errors. So this is when people are making large cash transactions above $10,000. They have to report it to FinCEN. If they don't report it to FinCEN, then there's big penalties and fines. And they're basically saying this is an undue burden on that title company. So just putting this on your radar to see what happens in your area so that you can be knowledgeable of what's going on. Also wanted to get to this, how ChatGPT is sabotaging real estate deals according to agents. Have you guys had a ChatGPT sabotage one of your deals? I have. I'll tell you a short story. We had some very particular buyers. It's fine to be very particular. It's great. Well, we actually love working with particular buyers because we're really good with them. So we're working with this very particular buyer and we're good with them. The very particular buyer said, and they liked a house. They put an offer in on the house. The offer was rejected. We got the seller to counter. The counter was rejected. Our buyers put in another offer. It just kind of went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Then there were issues that came up. I can't remember if this was part of the inspection or just part of the offering process, all these issues that they brought up. But there were issues that came up, and it was very clear to me that my clients sent us a book of a text, and it was very clear that it was an AI generated text. They were asking for things that just, we don't even do in Arkansas. And so I copied the text and I put it into one of those programs that tell you if it was written by AI. And it was like 73% of this text is from AI. I'm like, okay. Now, to be clear, I've written something that's pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. And it said that like 40% of what I wrote or 30% of what I wrote was AI. And I had written it from me. So I know it could be wrong, but 70%, usually when it's up there, like over 60, 70, 80%, it's all AI generated. And it looked all AI generated. There were certain things that were bold, the way the bullet points were, it was all AI. And we basically told them that there's things that you're asking for that we don't even negotiate here. And we don't even negotiate it this way. And so we explained to them how we'd have to do it. And we kind of basically did the math and said, all right, well, just based on the numbers, this is what you need. If we take all those terms into consideration, we basically got the seller to, we were within like $3,000 or something like that. I can't remember exactly. I think it was $3,000 difference. And just because of the principle of them using ChatGPT and us recognizing that they had used AI, it came up in conversation somehow. They were asking for something. I was like, well, yeah, I know a lot of like Google searches and AI stuff don't know that we don't do this in Arkansas. And they're like, we did not use ChatGPT, which I didn't say they used ChatGPT. They're very offended that we hinted that they used AI. And I actually said Google searches first, which is, that's what we used to tell people all the time. Like if you go search this on Google, it's going to tell you that we do this, and we don't do that in this state. That's very common. And we've talked about this with many, many, many buyers in the past that have Googled stuff, and there was no offense. So I started with Google and AI say this, but we don't do that here. And they were so offended and said, we didn't use ChatGPT. We wrote this ourselves. And I didn't say they used ChatGPT. So I'm like, yeah, okay, you use ChatGPT. But it killed the deal. And we were not offended in this situation. They're very particular difficult clients who wanted the world but didn't want to pay for it. So ChatGPT killed that deal 100% because it was telling our clients to ask for things that are not practical, and it also had no idea about the deal they were getting on this house. It was an absolutely incredible deal. Hillary said, I just got off the phone with my buyer who was explaining how we should proceed and literally was just reading what AI told him. He will not be getting this house because he's getting his own way. Yeah. This is what I hear of constantly. So drop your AI agent stories in the chat. This is what Broke Agent said about it. So surprised AI has been playing a larger role in consumer decisions. People have been turning to online sources for info on major life concerns. Let's see. It says buyers are asking ChatGPT for advice on how to offer a property. Sellers are asking ChatGPT on advice on how to price their property. Sirhan talked about this, talked about a $50 million deal that got blown up. And so the Broke Agent asked, how about you? What are you experiencing? And this is what they said. One agent said, the Broke Agent broke down what AI generated responses feel like. Quote, this is an AI generated response. Yes, I think your agent is wrong. Despite the 30 comps he showed you, you should, in fact, go with your gut and list it 20% over market value. Here's another quote. Did you see, he then asked this question in the description. Did you see ChatGPT almost blew up one of Ryan Serhant's deals? Has it happened to you? And these were the responses. Yes, this has happened to me already with buyers and sellers, helping them come up with lowball offers and overpricing strategies. Yay. Sherman says, I hate to say it, but clients have always been able to do this as long as Google has been around. That's true. AI just makes it easier. Whenever me and my mom get challenged on anything, we just politely ask for a source with full context and go over it together. Well, now you do have those little source buttons. Call Kirk FL said, instead of calling the inspector, we're just going to go ahead and use ChatGPT. Jenny said, my deal wasn't almost blown up, but my client was checking everything I was telling them in ChatGPT and then coming back and challenging me to explain what they were being told in ChatGPT. A couple other ChatGPT stories are worse than some of my colleagues. It used to be that your client's dad blowing up deals. How times have changed. Amy said, I had my first lead from Chat and asked where they found me. I asked Chat. So that's not bad. Let's see, dealing with it now. I produced a pricing strategy. Client agreed with everything during the meeting, left, went to his car, came back 20 minutes later saying he had used ChatGPT and had come up with a better pricing strategy. We use a couple of different pricing strategies, and I've had people check me on ChatGPT. Mia Zoll over on Instagram says, yesterday Chat made up a big story. All right, you got to drop it in the comments, Mia, so I can read it. We use ChatGPT and a lot of stuff, but we've used several pricing strategies, and ChatGPT told one of our clients to use some kind of crazy pricing strategies. Like, I've never heard of this in my life. And as a matter of fact, let me tell you the ways where it's bad for you. But basically, if you're going to price a home at $400,000, you want to price it at $399.9. That's not good. You should price it at $400 because nobody goes to Zillow and searches $399 to $500. They search $400 to $500. So if you price it at $399, it's not going to work. You're going to miss half the market that's searching for your property. However, if the home's been on the market a while, dropping $1,000 or $100 is a good idea to make it sound cheap for a little bit. But then every drop after that should be $5,000 to $10,000. So there you go. If you're not near a price bracket, let's say it's $435,000, you should do $434,900 because that is pricing on the nines, and that still does work. It sounds much cheaper than $435,000. Antonio says, should we just ask our sellers or buyers and simply ask ChatGPT for all the data and simply open the door? Yeah. I mean, we talk to our clients about using ChatGPT. You know, we actually give them a resource that references all of our stuff. So that's a smart way to do it. We give them a home buyer tool. We have a seller tool coming out soon, but it's a home buyer guide. And we say, if you're going to ask ChatGPT anything, use our home buyer guide. And so it's more accurate, and it also references all of our guides, all of our materials, all of our strategies. And so they can ask it, and the answers that they will get are like our answers. Let's see. Sorry, I had to respond to somebody. So this article also came out. Anyway, drop your stories in the chat. I'd love to hear your stories. Drop your stories in the chat. Let's look at this. Why every brokerage needs an AI use policy. Does your brokerage have an AI use policy? I don't know why I didn't think about it until I saw this headline, but I saw this and thought, ooh, we definitely need this on my team. AI is already reshaping how agents work. Here's how brokers need clear guardrails. This is from NAR. This is useful stuff. Artificial intelligence is already embedded in the way many real estate professionals work. At the brokerage level, AI is no longer just a productivity tool without clear guidelines. It becomes a compliance issue. Julie Moon said, I mean, it might be more accurate than a buyer's dad. It might be. AI tools can hallucinate, so the accuracy is in question. There's fair housing rules. AI models are trained on large data sets that can reflect historical bias. The bias can surface in subtle ways, like language that suggests who a home is perfect for. Demographic steering, anyone? Even if unintentional. Privacy. Many consumer AI tools use store prompts or use them to improve their models. If agent inputs client information, financial details of a transaction or documents, the data could be exposed. Compliance and licensing. AI cannot replace professional judgment. Well, there's a lot of agents that need their professional judgment replaced. Let's be honest. When agents rely too heavily on AI outputs, they risk crossing that line. And then it says why brokers need one. Set guardrails, creates consistency, reinforces accountability, and outlines responsibility. I wonder if they used AI to help write this up. Then it talks about how to implement it. It's a good article. You guys should check it out on the ner.realtor. That's the new place where the Realtor magazines are located, ner.realtor. But I thought it was good. I thought it was a good article and a great suggestion. I'm going to make an AI usage policy for our team and just add it to the agreement, have everybody re-sign the agreement. Because we definitely need something. Yeah, definitely. All right. Let's keep going. We got several, man, I'm already running a little bit behind. We have several economic articles to get to. Let me make sure I didn't miss a comment here. Okay. No, we're good. Antonio says on Instagram, it all comes back to relationships and building trust. No AI tool can do that. Antonio, you know there are AI tools that are building relationships with people, right? It's creepy. And they're like in love with them. This is a thing. This is a real thing. So yeah. Oh, Terry, I see your hand. I didn't see your hand. Sorry. I can't, it's not letting me bring you up for some reason, Terry. I don't know why. Maybe another.
Back up, Terry. Back up.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Oh, back up, Terry. There you go. I got you up there now. That's one of my favorite clips, Matt.
One of the best ever.
Back up, Terry. All right, what's going on with your Matt said not running behind because of me. Told you, Scap. What?
He plays really, really slow. His pace plays so slow. Well, I don't play golf with him anymore.
Did you see that the guy that was at the pro shop and he's about to tee off and the guy was like, all right, your yellow tees are here. And the guy's like, oh, I'm playing from the white tees. And the pro shop guy was like, what? They're 25 handicap. That's 1,000 extra yards on this course. Why don't we work on hitting it 500 first? It was good.
Matt doesn't Matt's a liar, and Matt doesn't like me because Matt had a little episode where he just didn't like me for a little bit, and he was pouting in the corner. So now he's come back to his senses, and now he's ready to go play. Now he's ready to go play some golf again, and we'll see what happens. It has nothing to do with pace of play.
One day we'll have to do another. One day we'll have to do another show while y'all are on the course. If y'all remember that, we were broadcasting it.
Oh yeah,
that was phenomenal.
Well, apparently Friday it's myself, the appraiser, with like a bunch of other real estate agents. So this should be fun.
He's got his own cart too, just in case.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if they recount your strokes. You know, we always have to double check appraisal work.
Watching like a hawk. 100%.
Always. All right, let's talk about home flippers. Oh, I should have gotten a dolphin sound effect. Home flippers see the smallest profits since the Great Recession. Roughly 297,000 single-family homes and condos were flipped nationwide last year. That was a decrease of 3.9%. And this is from Adam data, which some of you in the comments hate. Oh, wow, look, they just cut off the rest of the article. Hang on, let me refresh that. We may not cover this article at all because they just cut it off. They just put it behind their thing, literally from when I first read this article to now. But I mean, you can still see this bullet point here. With a backdrop of the highest median home prices on record, the typical home flip netted investors just $65,981 in gross profit, or a 25.5% return on investment. So they're only making 25%. It's one of the lowest profit margins since the Great Depression, or lowest profits. Great Recession. This is one of the reasons why, if you look at U.S. home prices, they barely budged in February. So if you're buying a property and trying to do a quick flip without putting much into it, you're toast. That's not gonna work. Redfin HPI is showing you here. It is fairly linear with the Case-Shiller, but there's I'm showing the chart. Case-Shiller is in blue and the Redfin Home Price Index is in red. Case-Shiller is showing a slight increase, maybe 0.4, when Redfin's showing a 0.2-ish. Right now, it's already down to 0.13, but the Case-Shiller hasn't updated there. Yeah, 0.4, exactly. According to the Redfin Home Price Index, which uses repeat sales pricing method to calculate seasonally adjusted changes in single-family home prices, price growth is muted because it's the strongest buyer's market in recent history for those who can afford to buy. Many Americans are holding off on purchasing because of mortgage rates. And let's see, as a result, there are a record 46% more home sellers than buyers. What? That's a lot. Check out this article. Oh, that's weird. It's not doing it. Why is it not doing it? Hang on. Let me share the whole window. I've got this cool new display I want to try out. Let's see. Stop sharing screen. I guess I'm going to have to share the whole window though, and not, yeah, that'll work. Here, boom. Don't get distracted by my tabs. Here's the whole window. So I like this new layout because I can show you two different articles at the same time. It's kind of nice. Both these articles are the same. So that's when I'm going to use this. Isn't that cool? There are 630,000 more home sellers than buyers. That's the 46.3% seller gap. That's crazy. Here's the chart that shows that seller gap's 46.3% more home sellers than buyers. That is above the April 2020 level. That is above the July 2014 level. So it is the best buyer's market that we have seen in recent history. Are you telling your clients that, guys? Are y'all telling them that? Best buyer's market that we've seen in recent history? We should. Why more deals are falling apart. In February, 13.7% of home sale agreements fell through, totaling more than 42,000 canceled deals. That's up from 12.8% a year ago. Here's what's behind it: home prices, mortgage rate volatility, and economic uncertainty and job concerns. Where is it happening most? Tampa, 18.1%, San Antonio, 17.9%, Atlanta, 17.9%, Jacksonville, 17.5%, Fort Worth, 17.3%. I also think people are real finicky right now because anytime people feel like they're paying a lot for a home, condition is really, really important to them. And if you're looking at condition and the condition of the home is not what you thought it was once you went under contract and you feel like you're paying a premium and the seller doesn't want to do anything because they can't afford to do anything because they just bought the home 2 or 3 years ago, then that deal is going to fall apart. And I feel like that is what's happening more than anything else. I feel like that is, you could say it's home prices. I don't think it's mortgage rate volatility because by the time you're already under contract, most of the time, if your lender's any good at all, if they recognize a low rate, they're going to lock that in place. So I don't believe mortgage volatility is the number 2 thing that's causing deals to fall apart. Economic uncertainty and job concerns, maybe, but that's usually before you make a purchase. You're having those big thoughts. I think the number 1 thing is the home price. You feel like you're paying a premium and the house is not in premium condition. So you're outie. I don't know. Are you guys seeing deals fall apart for any other reason? Drop it in the comments. Tell me why your deals are falling apart, because I just don't see mortgage rate volatility being a factor once under contract unless it's new construction and rates change so much that they can't refi at the end. So this is another article. 14% of home sale agreements fall through. Here's the record. It's showing you over the years, we are definitely at a high. Last time it was close to this high was 2024. It was 13.2%. Now it's 13.7%. Americans fear AI could replace their jobs, making it harder to afford homes. Just 30% of Americans believe advances in AI will help boost the economy. Nearly 2/3 of Americans say tariffs will cause inflation and keep interest rates high, while 31% say it'll boost the economy. Half believe immigration will result in fewer construction workers and hurting housing affordability, while 35% believe less immigration will reduce housing demand and help affordability. Nearly half say that zoning rules will make homes affordable. This is wild. I mean, I think it's direct relation to what's been reported. Can we just say that? If you compare this to what the mainstream media is reporting, I guarantee it's almost equal. I guarantee it's almost equal to what these people think. That would be an interesting stat. Who wants to do that study? Because everyone was saying tariffs are going to cause this huge inflation. It just has not happened. Not happened at all. As a matter of fact, we're making more money. America is making way more money. A lot of people said that that immigration would hurt homes because builders would have to pay more because they're paying for labor. I mean, we're not pro-slave labor, right? I mean, we've kind of done away with that, right? I think we have. I think paying people a reasonable wage would be acceptable by most people, and saying that, no, let's keep this class of people here because we could pay them less. It sounds awfully similar to what the South used to say, doesn't it? So, I mean, I think we could say that paying more people money would actually benefit the economy because there's more money in the economy. So I don't really see the connection on some of these things. I mean, you heard a lot of people say, well, who's going to pick the food and all that? So that's such a bad take. That is a horrible take. Antonio says, in our market, and I'm certain in all others as well, buyers are more demanding and will pay premium price for the home so long as it is top notch. Yeah, that's what I agree. So I think the real things that are affecting the home prices right now, above everything else, is just rates. That's what's affecting home purchases right now. This article says home buyers can afford to take their time heading into spring 2026. Typical home spends 66 days on the market right now. That's a recent high. The last time it matched that was around February of 2017. It was 63 days on market, which is interesting because I just told one of my clients earlier that I felt like it was returning to the 2017 and 2019. Oh yeah, there it is. I said it feels a lot like 2017 and 2019, and that was 63 days on market, 62 days on market. So I do feel like it is right there, right in that range. We'll see if it continues to climb. It's gone up, obviously. The low was in June of 2021, 17 days on market. All right, mortgage demand drops 10% as rate hits the highest level since October. What is that highest level? 6.43%. It's pretty high. Compared to the 5.99 we had 3 weeks ago, it's pretty high. Refinance demand dropped 15%. Mortgage demand from all home buyers fell 5%. So the applications for purchase dropped 5%, but where are they? Oops, just put an ad in there in the middle and changed everything. Okay. Applications to purchase dropped 5% for the week and were just 5% higher than the same week a year ago. So it's still higher than the same week a year ago. Higher mortgage rates coupled with affordability constraints and economic uncertainty pushed some potential home buyers to the sidelines. Joel Kahn said, he's the MBA's vice president and chief deputy economist. All right, same article over on Reffkin here. Do y'all like this layout? I like this layout. It may not, tell me if it does not compute on the interweb, but it's cool because you see both articles saying basically similar stuff. I don't have to just reference it in the comments. All right, and lastly, Joel Berner. He's new. He's for Realtor.com. I wonder if he took Daniel Hale's place, but where Daniel Hale's articles usually are was Joel Berner, and he was the chief economist or something like that. So, what maybe it'll say if I hover over him. Nope. New home sales dipped during icy January. Yep. This is a no-brainer, no news article, but just kind of tells you. And I think that's why we recently had an explosion of buyers into the market, and then it kind of chilled again. There it is. This guy. Weekly housing market update. This is normally Daniel Hale, but he's the senior economist now at Realtor.com. So maybe they changed. So here's a couple of charts. New home sales shows that January of 2006 was 587,000. That's down 17.6% month over month and down 11.3% year over year. And then new homes for sale by stage of construction. In January, 22.2% were not started, 51.9% were under construction, 26.7% were completed. So there you go. All right, excuse me. Ooh. Wow, look at that. Thanks everybody for coming to the show today. That is all I got. Not real talkative today. Not much banter. I appreciate you guys jumping in the comments, but there really wasn't that much controversial stuff compared to what we've been seeing over and over and over and over. Today felt kind of calm, which is unique. Maybe, just maybe, everyone is playing nice in the sandbox, and maybe we can all be friends and there will be no more lawsuits. Yeah, I doubt it too. But for now, for this week, it's fairly chill. Julie Moon said, we didn't even talk about the TSA. That's because apparently it's a non-story. Have you seen the Instagrams of people saying, I showed up at the airport 5 hours early? Why? There's no one here. And that was in Phoenix or Philadelphia. I think it was in Philadelphia, but I'm seeing them all over. So yeah, I don't know that much is actually happening in that stuff. I think there's a lot of optics out there. You just got to be careful. That's why you need to watch the show. That's why you need to subscribe and hit the bell, because we talk exactly about what is actually happening in the market. We expose the headlines, We expose the interviewers who are users of a product and give a softball interviewer, even though we like them a lot. That's why you got to listen to the show. That's why you got to send it to a friend, because it's the only place where you get the true takes. And trust me, I've had some of these people want to advertise on the show. We say no, because we constantly are against your outlet. So there's that. All right. Well, thanks guys for joining me. I will see y'all wait, is it next week? What is the date next week? Let's see. Yes, I'll see you next week, but the week after that, I'll be in Nashville. So if any of you are going to Nashville, Tennessee, to the Real Estate Video Blueprint REVB conference, let me know. I'd love to connect with you there. But otherwise, I'll see y'all next week. Bye.